everybody. Welcome to the Abroaders Travel Podcast, your weekly meetup with thousands of entrepreneurs, hustlers, creators, nomads, ninjas, wanderers, and world changers, all seeking to build the skills and connections to live a life without borders. If you want to learn more about what we do or download our entire podcast archive, check out the website, abroaders.com.
Happy Wednesday morning and welcome to another episode of the Abroaders Podcast. I'm Eric here in Austin, Texas. AJ is not going to be available for this week's show. He is getting on a plane right now in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and headed back to Texas. So I'm going to be recording this one solo. Today is Wednesday, September 20th, 2017. This is episode 189. Today we've got a great show for you. We've got a listener question about whether it's better to buy an economy ticket and upgrade to business class, or whether it makes more sense to just book a business class award ticket. We're also going to be diving into some earning strategy with a card recommendation consultation. This is a real example of somebody who's got some points already and is looking at which cards they should use to optimize their ongoing spending. And so I'm going to break down how we recommend cards and the factors that go into the decision to give the best advice possible. And then today's top story is the announcement of a October 4th deadline for the Southwest cards from Chase, the 60K offers that put the companion pass within reach, but the deadline is going to cut it close in terms of being able to get the companion pass for 2018 and all of 2019. So I'll break that down and try and give you guys all the information so that you can hopefully get the companion pass for 2 years. Okay, time to dive into the show. We are going to start with that listener question. Once again, show notes can be found at abroaders.com/189. This week's question comes from Bill, who is in Chicago, Illinois. Bill's got a question about whether or not he should use United Miles to book an award ticket in business class for $115,000 United Miles plus $135 in taxes and fees, or whether he should buy an upgradable economy class ticket and use 40,000 miles to upgrade that ticket to business class. Now, typically, buying a cash ticket and upgrading is not as good of a deal as just redeeming the miles all out and getting the ticket virtually free. But Bill has kind of a unique situation that I thought was really worth breaking down and taking a look at. So the reason that Bill is considering buying the economy ticket and upgrading is that he's relatively close to earning lifetime status with United through the Million Miler program. And so what this means, Million Miler status is based on the distance flown. And so it's the cumulative number of miles you've flown with United over your entire lifetime. And once you hit a threshold of 1 million miles or more, you get permanent Premier Gold status. So essentially you get United Frequent Flyer Elite status without having to requalify each year. It basically puts a floor on your status. So there's 4 different thresholds. The first threshold is at 1 million lifetime miles. That gives you gold status for life. 2 million miles gives you platinum status for life. 3 million gives you 1K status. And 4 million gives you top tier United Global Services status. Now, the other thing to be aware of, and this is where the big benefit I think with Million Miler status is that you also get to add a companion who gets the same status as you. So if you qualify, let's assume Bill is heading towards the 1 million miles flown mark. That means that as soon as he crosses that threshold, Bill will be a permanent Premier Gold, and his spouse or companion or partner can also be eligible to be a Premier Gold as well. And so the only requirements here, they're not going to check the status of your relationship. The only requirement for who can be your companion for lifetime status is that they have to have the same address as on their mileage plus frequent flyer account. So as long as that qualifies, Bill can choose whomever he likes to share that status benefit. And the other really nice thing here is that if Bill qualifies for a higher status. So let's say million miler level gets him to Premier Gold, and he ends up flying a lot in 2018 and actually qualifies for Premier Platinum. His companion is going to also get Platinum status just like him. Now, if he doesn't continue to fly as much, that companion, that status will go back down after the next year. But again, the floor is set at Premier Gold. So both Bill and his companion can do better than that if Bill flies more. But if not, they're sort of at the very minimum will always have gold status. So as you can imagine, this is probably a pretty awesome benefit. I think the big thing to think about here, number one, how close are you to the 1 million mile mark or the next threshold of millions of miles? And do you have a realistic plan for being able to get there? So if you're looking at this and you're 80,000 miles away, it may take quite a bit of time to actually acquire those miles. And I'm gonna run through the breakdown of how many miles Bill could earn by paying for this flight and going with the upgrade rather than the all-out award booking in business class. But the first question is just how close are you, and are you going to be able to get there with this flight plus one more, or is it going to be a matter of lots of additional flights? Second thing is, how much would Bill's companion actually be able to use this benefit? So in other words, if Bill's presumptive companion already has gold status or flies enough anyways to get that status, it might not actually be that valuable to have the million miler mark. And so it might not be worth rushing, in other words, to get there. Maybe just fly as you go and take your time. Those are the two core questions. Now let me cover real quick the two options that Bill presented here and what the earning breakdown is going to look like for both redeemable miles and for million miler status miles. So option number one, pay 115,000 mileage plus points and spend $135 in taxes and fees, get a round trip business class award ticket from Chicago to Berlin. No points earned there because it's an award ticket, so he's not going to earn any redeemable miles, and he's also not going to earn any miles towards his United lifetime status. Second option is to pay $2,000 for an economy ticket that is upgradable and an additional 40,000 points to upgrade that ticket to business class. So first thing to take a look at is the number of redeemable miles Bill is going to earn. And this is one thing that's a little bit tricky, so it's important to keep in mind. Lifetime miles are calculated by distance flown. And since 2012 or so, United has awarded redeemable miles based on the price of your ticket. So there's two different numbers here to take into account. So let's start out by taking a look at redeemable miles. Bill pays $2,000 for a ticket. The number of redeemable miles he earns are going to be a function of the price that he paid, $2,000. If Bill doesn't have any elite status, that means he's going to earn 10,000 points, which is 5 times the price of $2,000. So that's the number I'm going to use as the example. If Bill's already a silver, gold, platinum, or a 1K, it's possible that he would earn 14,000, 16,000, 18,000, or 22,000 points respectively because you get a higher multiplier. So in other words, if he's already a platinum member, then he's going to be earning 9 times the ticket price of 2,000, which means 18,000 redeemable miles. So assuming he has no status, that means that 14,000 miles that are required to upgrade are going to be effectively reduced by the fact that he's earning some of those miles back. So he buys a $2,000 ticket, he pays 40,000 miles to upgrade to business class, and in the process of flying on that flight, he's going to get 10,000 redeemable miles back. The net cost here is 30,000 points to upgrade to business class plus the $2,000 ticket price. Now, if he were to just book this ticket with his miles, again, he's not going to earn any redeemable miles, but he's going to pay a lot less money, $135 rather than $2,000. So that's basically the trade-off. And so the last question I have here is that if you spend 115,000 miles, you get this flight in business class. If you pay some cash and use way fewer miles to upgrade, again, if you take the net of 30,000 that he would pay with the upgrade, that means he's essentially saving 85,000 miles, 115 minus 30. That's the number of miles that he's not having to use by going the more expensive cash route. And so that is kind of the second unknown factor, is what other options is he going to have in the future to be able to use those 85,000 miles? If Bill's got a couple of other flights coming up, account that might not be as advantageous for earning million miler status, then it probably makes sense to buy this flight for the $2,000 and use fewer miles so that you've got more United miles left over for a future flight. The last thing to cover here is how million miler status is calculated. Like I said, this is based on distance flown. So in this particular itinerary, Bill's got a flight from Chicago to Berlin. Assuming it's more or less direct, let's say possibly a stopover on the East Coast, but more or less flying a direct route, it's going to be about 4,500 flown miles each way, which comes out to about 9,000 miles towards his million miler status for the round trip. So in other words, if Bill's at 991,000 miles, this is a great deal because that extra 9,000 miles puts him over the million mark and he gets to enjoy gold status for life. However, it would actually be advantageous if Bill doesn't mind spending a little bit more time on the airplane for this trip. Let's take an example of, instead of flying direct more or less from Chicago to Berlin, let's take a look at Chicago to San Francisco to New York to Berlin. If he does that sort of back and forth, and again, this depends on being able to upgrade all those flights, but if you were able to take this longer routing, going all the way out to San Francisco and then to the East Coast before heading to Berlin is going to make the round trip about 17,000 miles towards that million miler status. So I think the other big thing to take a look at here, Bill, is whether or not you can get creative with your routing and still have the ability to upgrade that ticket. Because if you can connect somewhere on the West Coast before heading to Berlin, you're going to potentially be able to earn twice as many miles, albeit not everybody is cool with spending a whole bunch of extra time on an airplane. And a decent part of this travel would be in domestic first class, which is not nearly as nice or comfortable. So that's a trade-off as well. But if you're going to spend $2,000 and you want to get yourself closer to that 1 million mile mark, you might consider any sort of routing that makes your flight longer. It doesn't have to be quite so extreme. You might be able to route from Chicago down to Miami or down to Houston and then fly onward from there towards Berlin. That could still potentially add a few thousand miles, and just keep that in mind with how far you have to go for your million miler status. Anyways, Bill, thank you so much for sharing this question. Really appreciate you having that for us to share with other people on the show. If you have a question yourself, destinations, like any goals you have for the next year or so, and let us know which cards you already have and what type of points you have, and we'll make a recommendation to try and help you get maximum value for the spending that you're going to be doing anyways. So if you're buying stuff on a debit card, if you're using cash when you could be using a credit card, you're leaving a bunch of money on the table. And so what I wanted to do today is take an example of somebody that's signed up and requested card recommendations and kind of run through the logic of what cards I recommended and why. So this is going to be an anonymous name. So let's call this person Carla, but this is in fact a real person that signed up in the last couple of days. And so I thought that the recommendations might be helpful for some other people, just kind of put in context how earning the right type of miles can be a huge value, and also to kind of take you guys through the logic that we use to try and figure out which cards somebody's eligible for and what makes the most sense based on their travel plans. Okay, so Carla signed up and has about $1,000 in personal spending, and also has a business where she spends about $2,000 per month in business spending. Her credit score is great. She's just under 800. And so the first thing that I wanted to take a look at is travel plans. And unfortunately, she doesn't have travel plans specifically saved in her account. So the main goal here is just going to be to keep things as open-ended as possible, give her maximum flexibility, which generally is going to mean targeting some sort of type of points that's going to be flexible. So transferable points are often the first place that we look. Now, as far as cards that Carla already has, she's got the American Express Blue Card, which is a personal card that earns Amex membership rewards. She's also got the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is one of the best all-around cards to start with, so she's in great shape there. And she's got the United Mileage Plus Explorer card as well. So only 3 cards listed, which means she's definitely under 524. And in fact, one of those cards was opened more than 2 years ago. So she's only got 2 personal cards that are counting against her for Chase applications. Now, one other thing, just a bit of history, is that she also requested card recommendations all the way back in May, so about 4 months ago. And unfortunately, the card that we recommended expired, or rather the offer that was currently available on that card expired. And so that unfortunately is going to come back to haunt Carla a little bit, because she's going to end up getting fewer points than she could have if she applied back in May when the offer was a little bit higher. So that's always something to keep in mind, is that you want to try and time these applications to get rewards cards when they're at a relative high, when the points are that are being offered are higher than normal. And then the last piece of information, she's got about 115,000 United miles and about 13,000 Delta miles. Now, we don't have information on the Amex account, so for whatever reason she didn't add that. Might mean that she just doesn't have any any Amex miles at the moment, or just has a very low balance. So based on this information, I think the first priority here is the Inc. Business Preferred Card. She's got $2,000 in business spend, which means that the $5,000 in 90 days shouldn't be a problem at all. And this card is just by far the best business card offer that's available right now. 80,000 points, and the next best is probably 50,000 points for any other business card. So this is just a really good offer, and it also will combine with a Chase balance if she has one. We know she's got the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card, so it's possible that she's got some Chase points that she hasn't listed. But even if she doesn't, the fact that she's already got 115,000 United miles, which is a transfer partner of Chase Ultimate Rewards, means that with this bonus, she'll be at about 195,000, which is enough for 3 international round trips in economy. Typically about 60,000 points each. So if she gets over 180,000, she should have 3 round-trip economy tickets by using those Chase points transferring to United. And she's also potentially going to have a round-trip business class, which should run between 140 and 160,000 points with some points left over. So by far, top recommendation is definitely the Inc. Business Preferred Card. And then taking a look at the personal spending, she's got $1,000 in personal spending monthly, which means that she's got room in her regular spending to accommodate a card that has a $3,000 spending requirement to earn the sign-up bonus. Now, probably the best 2 cards that are available on that front right now would be the Barclay Arrival card, which is super flexible. It's basically cashback points, or the Citi Advantage Platinum Select card, which, although they've officially reduced the offer to $30,000 on most websites, there is still a link floating around for the Citi Platinum Select card that's 50,000 points after 3,000 spend in 90 days. So my personal recommendations here were to take a look at number 1, the Aviator Red MasterCard, which is an incredible deal. This card gets 60,000 American miles after signing up and making 1 purchase. So no spending requirement. Buy a box of Tic Tacs, a stick of gum, and you've got 60,000 American miles, which is enough for a round trip pretty much anywhere. And the best thing is that doesn't put even a dent in her personal spending, because there's no spending requirement. Just buy 1 thing. So that's by far my top personal recommendation. But because I'm recommending that card, Barclays has a rule that you can only get 1 card every 12 months or so. We're not 100% sure how strictly that's enforced, but when we do recommendations, we're pretty much only recommending a Barclay card if they haven't opened one recently. So if she's getting the Aviator Red MasterCard to earn American miles, that means that the Barclay Arrival card is off the table. So my second personal recommendation would be the Citi Platinum Select card. Now, like I said, we recommended that back in May when it had a 60,000 point sign-up bonus. So unfortunately, the offer went down before she was able to apply. So there's a 10,000 point loss here in that she would only get 50,000 points now. However, the normal offer here is 30,000 points. In this case, I do think it probably makes sense to get that card as well. Now, to step back for a second, because she's already got a pretty substantial number of points, if she was just going to apply for one card, I would say for sure go for the Inc. business card. She also doesn't have any business cards listed on her account, which means that now she's going to be able to start putting that $2,000 a month spend to work, earning miles, and take advantage of a really awesome sign-up bonus. So for Carla, I would say, number one, get the business card. And if you don't want to do anything on the personal side, I would just continue to put your ongoing spend on either the American Express Blue Card, or probably a better choice would be the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card. However, if you really want to go for it with this round of recommendations, the first alternate option would be to get the Barclay Aviator Red Card, get that 60,000 miles after first purchase. And if you want to work towards a sign-up bonus with another personal card, the Citi Advantage Platinum Select is a good option. Now, last thing here is that if she ends up getting both personal cards, that means that she's going to have 4 cards opened in the last 24 months that are personal cards that count against 524, which means she'll only have 1 card left from Chase. And it's definitely worth hanging on to that last opportunity. But I think this is a pretty good set of recommendations. Now, Carla's in awesome shape anyways because she's got a few trips already. So if she doesn't have a ton of international travel coming up, it might make sense to be a little more conservative and just get the business card for now. But now she's got some options so that she can leverage both business and personal spend towards sign-up bonuses. Thanks a bunch for requesting the recommendations, Carla. I hope you're able to get at least one of these cards and start putting that business and personal spend to work. Okay, let's get to the news. Not too much this week to cover, but do have a couple of interesting offers that I'll have linked up in the show notes. Again, this is episode 189, so you'll find any links from news and updates or the rest of the show today at abroaders.com/189. First up, we've got an Amex offer for extra membership rewards points if you make a purchase on Nest.com. Now, Amex offers, as always, are targeted, so it's not going to apply to everybody, but it seems like this one is pretty widespread. Looks like if you spend, I think it's about $250, you can get up to 4,000 or 5,000 membership rewards points as a bonus from Amex. So just for a little context, Nest is a smart thermostat that you can manage from your phone or laptop. So if you get the hardware that you're going to purchase to get this Amex bonus, you've got the ability to basically turn up or down your heat or air conditioning when you're not home. So hopefully this is something that can actually pay back the investment that you make in the long term by making it easier to control your heat and make it nice so that your house is either warm or cooled down by the time you get home from work. So there's a few different rebates that you can apply through the Nest website. But I wanted to mention this 5,000 Amex points is worth roughly $100 if you use the points right. So that's a pretty significant rebate or discount on purchasing Nest, especially if it was something that you were interested in buying anyways. Next up, we've got Sapphire Reserve referral bonus. If you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, you can earn up to 50,000 points by referring friends and family members to apply for the card as well. You'll get 10,000 points for each new referral, up to 5 referrals. And again, the people that you're referring are going to get the publicly available offer, which is 50,000 points after spending $4,000 in spend in the first 90 days. I think this definitely can make quite a bit of sense. If you're talking with your friends and family about this and you want to refer them, I think the big trade-off here with getting the higher annual fee reserve card is that you're going to have access to lounge access in a ton of different airports through Priority Pass. You got the global entry fee waiver, so $100 back towards global entry, and you get a $300 travel credit, which is super easy to use. So effectively, your annual fee for this card is only going to be $150 after you cancel out the $300 that you're going to get back for travel spending. So that's a pretty reasonable annual fee. It's only $50 more than the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card, or $55 more. So in other words, the toss-up here is now you can only get one of these 2 cards. You can't get 2 cards or 2 sign-up bonuses with cards in the Sapphire family. And so if you're talking this over with friends and family, it might be a way that you can help them out, get them the reserve card, 50,000 points plus a bunch of really nice benefits, and get an extra 10,000 points for yourself. So we'll have the link in the show notes where you can refer a friend. You can also find this on the Chase website. Definitely a pretty awesome deal if you've got some family or friends that were planning on applying for the card anyways. One other referral offer that's out there, not nearly as exciting of a card as far as I'm concerned, but you can get 20,000 Marriott points by referring people over to the Marriott card issued by Chase. And so the offer is 80,000 points after spending $3,000 in the first 90 days. So again, if you've got family or friends that has a hotel stay coming up, wants to earn some Marriott points, this can be a great opportunity for you to earn 20,000 points for yourself and help that family member open up an account and get 80,000 points for them. And then I guess the last thing that I would say about this one particular is, especially if you have a spouse where you've already got the Marriott card and so you're eligible to make this referral and your spouse doesn't, this is a situation where as a family you guys can get 100,000 points, 20 for you for making the referral and 80 for your spouse. And because you can move points back and forth within your Marriott account, as long as it's at the same address for you and your spouse, you can move those points back and forth. And so essentially combine those and make it a 100,000 point sign up proposition. Again, that only applies, you can only get this referral credit if you have the Marriott card yourself, but definitely a nice way to add some extra points. 20,000 should be worth a free night at a lot of different Marriott properties. I think that's roughly tier 2 or tier 3 is 20,000 points a night. So definitely worthwhile if you can capture that bonus. The last piece of news is that we now have a date for the 60,000 point offer for the Southwest cards to expire. It's going to be October 4th is the last day to get the 60K bonus on the Southwest Premier Personal, the Southwest Plus Personal, and the Southwest Premier Business card. So 3 different cards with 60K offers. 2 out of the 3 is going to get you the companion pass. Chase has said that they are going to expire those 60,000 point bonus offers on October 4th. And that is pretty important information because as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the most important thing about earning the companion pass is about whether or not you can make those points post at the beginning of a new year. The way that the companion pass works, just as a refresher, is that you get the companion pass for the remainder of the year that it's earned in and for the next calendar year in its entirety. So a companion pass that is earned on December 31st, 2017 gives you a companion pass for 12 months and 1 day, all of 2018. However, if you can delay getting those points to post and earning the companion pass in January, you're going to get all of 2018 plus all of 2019. So the fact that the offer for 60,000 points is going to expire on the 4th of October puts everybody who's taking a look at this opportunity in a bit of a tight spot because, as it so happens, January 1st is 90 days exactly from the 4th of October. And so first thing that you need to know is that with pretty much all sign-up bonuses, the calendar or the clock begins ticking as far as the number of days you have to earn your bonus from the day that your account is approved, not the date that you receive or activate your card. So in other words, if you apply on the last day that the 60,000 points are available, October 4th, you've got 90 days to spend $2,000 on each of the 2 cards that you're going to apply for to earn the companion pass, which means that you've got to be really precise about hitting that spend and making sure that your points post in 2018. The good news is that it is possible. So a couple of other details, I dug around to really try and figure out how the points posting is going to work. And the best information seems to indicate that your points are going to post a few days after your statement closes in the billing sequence or the billing statement that you cross that $2,000 threshold. So in other words, if your statement closes on, let's say, the 25th of December, you're likely going to see your points post a couple of days after that. In other words, before the turn of the year, and the opportunity to get the additional year worth of Companion Pass is out the window. So first thing that you want to try for is to try and set up your billing cycle so that your statement is going to close in the first week or two of the month. Now, I think if you apply in October, early October, that's going to happen anyways, but Chase seems to be pretty good at letting you adjust your statement close date, or rather adjust your billing date. And so it should be possible to manipulate this a little bit to give yourself a little bit extra flexibility to earn the Companion Pass in the right time window. Okay, so let's take a look at the offers that are available and how you might be able to time things properly and carefully to extend the length of your Companion Pass by a full year. So first of all, we've got 3 different cards that currently have a 60,000 point sign-up bonus. And to earn the Companion Pass, you need 110,000 points to post in the same calendar year. So what that means is that 2 out of these 3 cards, if you're successful at getting approved and earning your sign-up bonus, are going to get you the Companion Pass. The real question is whether you can time things and get the Companion Pass for twice as long. So the different offers here, we've got the Southwest Rapid Rewards Premier Card, earning 60,000 points after 2,000 spend in the first 3 months. And so that card has a $99 annual fee. Otherwise, pretty much all the benefits are the same. There's a slight difference in the anniversary bonus. You get, I think, 6,000 Rapid Rewards points when you pay the annual fee at the end of your first year. And with the Plus version of the card, there's a lower annual fee, but you get fewer points on your anniversary. Other than that, these 2 cards are pretty similar. So the Southwest Rapid Rewards Plus card also earns 60,000 points after spending 2,000 in the first 90 days. So if you want, you can get both of these cards, get the Premier and the Plus card, get 60,000 points each. And the key is to just cross that $2,000 spending threshold so that your points post in 2018. Now, the last option is the Southwest Rewards Premier Business card, which earns 60,000 points after 3,000 spending. Now, as I said before, it is possible to get both of the personal versions of the card. So if you don't have a business, the Companion Pass is within reach. However, for some people, it may make more sense to get the cheaper version of the personal card, so the Southwest Plus, for the $69 annual fee and 2,000 spend, and then pair that with the business card, which has a $99 fee and 3,000 for the first 90 days of spend requirement. So either way, your sort of worst case scenario out of pocket would be about $200. That's if you get the expensive personal card and the business card. But otherwise, you should be able to do this for about $170. That should be your upfront cost, and then all you need to do is make these spending requirements, and you're going to get unlimited buy one get one free with your companion on Southwest. So that includes flights that you book with cash. You pay for a ticket and your companion gets to fly free. They just pay the taxes and fees. It also means that you can use points to book on Southwest, and you use points for your ticket, and your companion again flies for free without having to spend any points. So Companion Pass can be a huge value. We're talking, $3,000 to $4,000 worth of domestic airfare over the course of 2 years with the 120,000 points that you're going to earn, not to mention the additional savings for any flights that you buy. So this is a really awesome deal. And so it all comes down to whether or not you can pull off getting this for the full 2 years. So here's what I've been able to find out. And I'm also going to put this in the show notes. There is an article that was posted on The Consumerist about some mishaps that have happened to people in the past with their points posting unexpectedly. So like lots of things in the points and miles game, your mileage may vary, but I want to give you the best possible information, and I do think that this is possible, and we're going to try and help people through this. So if you're interested in getting these cards, we will help you watch the deadlines and try and make sure that you get this to post. But I guess the big takeaway is that the worst case scenario here is you only get the Companion Pass for 1 year. It's disappointing for sure, but it's still an incredible value. And so I think for a lot of people, if you're eligible to do these applications, I would go for it, because I don't think that this offer is going to be around for another couple of years. I think it's really unlikely that the points that you earn from sign-up bonuses are going to continue to count towards the Companion Pass forever. It's just too good of a deal. It's the best deal in domestic airfare. And so I think it's possible, although I don't have any inside information about this, that this could be the last January that it's possible to get this Companion Pass with the cards. So that being said, what I've been able to discover from taking a look at the rules here is that your points are typically going to post a few days after your statement closes in the billing cycle that you hit the minimum spend. So there's a couple of concepts here. Number one, you've got the date that your bill is due. And typically a few days either before or after that date, they wrap up your statement for the month. So let's say you apply for the card in October 4th. Typically your first bill is going to be due sometime in November. So let's say your bill is due on November 15th. Right? So that's your first bill. It's obviously going to be more than a full month for the first billing cycle, but you make all your charges, and then sometime right before the 15th of November, they're going to close off the charges that you've made and wrap those up into a bill that's going to be due at the end of the month. And so once they've closed that billing cycle, all the new charges that you start posting to your account are going to be due the following month. So in other words, they're going to be due sometime in December. And so the way that this works is that you want to figure out when your statement closes, and you want to try and time it so that your statement closes hopefully sometime in the middle of the month. And what I've learned is that Chase is flexible about your due date for your billing. And so if you ask them to shift your due date for the date your payment is due towards the middle of the month, unless there's some reason that hasn't applied to me or other people that have asked that's out there, they should be able to accommodate that. And so what it means is if you're able to manipulate that due date and get your payment due date sometime in the middle of the month, it means that your statement is going to close in the middle of December. And so hopefully what you're going to be able to do is you want to get just close to the spending requirement. So definitely don't want to go over before your December statement closes. So let's say you're working on the Southwest Plus card. You've got a $2,000 spending requirement, and you spend $1,800 right up before your December statement closes. So that bill closes and you pay it off, and so you're going to earn the $1,900 worth of points for 1 point per dollar spent, but you're not going to get the bonus yet because you haven't spent the additional $200 that are required to reach that $2,000 threshold. So what I think is the best chance of getting those points to post in the 2018 year is to wait until the last few days before the end of the month. So sometime right after Christmas, and you're going to want to spend that last $200. And the way that, at least it seems to be stated that this works, is that the crossing the threshold at the end of December, those points won't post until your next billing statement is generated in January. And so that should be the ticket to have the $2,000 spend trigger the 50,000 point deposit into your Southwest account sometime in January. Now, the hard thing about this Companion Pass is it's really important that you coordinate both cards because both of them need to post the 50,000 point bonus in January. If one of them posts in December and one of them posts in January, you're not going to get the Companion Pass, which is a huge bummer. Anyway, so we're going to continue to report on this as we get more information, but it looks like, at least as of right now, if you apply on the 4th of October, the last day to get the 60,000 points, then you're going to be able to see those Southwest points post, having your deadline be on the 1st of January, which means there should be enough time to make the last stretch of spend in the second half of December and see those points post in January, get the Companion Pass for all of 2018 and 2019. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you so much for being with me once again. If you have a question that you'd like AJ and I to answer on an upcoming podcast, head to the show notes page of broaders.com/189, and we've got a link. No more sending emails. Just fill out the form, and we will get back to you and answer the best questions on an upcoming show.
Hey Broaders, don't be shy. Hop over to the website and join our email list for exclusive travel hacking content. If you like what we're up to, the best way you can support the show is by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. Lastly, we would love to hear from you, so send your show feedback